Hey guys, YXBA here, and today I want to do a video that I think is probably going to turn into a bit of a rant. So I want to talk about the Game of the Show award. I mean, what is the Game of the Show award anyways? It seems like every year different websites and publications give out their Game of the Show award. But I don't think very many people even know what the heck that means. Does it mean the game that showed off the best at this year's E3? Does it mean the game that was at E3 that looks like it's going to be the best game when it actually releases? Does it mean the game that is at E3 this year that people think is going to sell the best? Does it mean the game at E3 this year that generated the most hype, the most Twitter mentions, the most YouTube views? What the heck does it even mean? And if we don't know what it means, does it have any value? If people aren't agreed upon what it actually means to be Game of the Show, then why bother even having the award? And I say all this despite the fact that this year it would appear as though the Nintendo game Zelda Breath of the Wild is going to be the ultimate winner of Game of the Show. But I still don't like it. Whenever we start getting into the best ofs and Game of the Shows and things of that nature, all it does is get a bunch of fanboys all agitated because, let's face it, our egos cannot handle when somebody else says that Zelda is better than God of War or God of War is better than Zelda. As gaming fanboys, that just makes us go and take a good game, maybe like Horizon, and get all offended because somebody attacked Zelda. Somebody was saying that something else was better than Zelda at E3 this year. And then we go in and try and nitpick and find something to hate about a game that actually looks like a pretty good game. And it goes the other way around. I've noticed a lot of people out there, a very quiet minority, they've been into counting trees in Zelda. Oh yeah, it looks like a pretty good game, but it's pretty sparse. I mean, I don't really like how there aren't really that many trees. Are you kidding me? Okay, this looks like possibly something that's going to be up there with one of the greatest games of all time, potentially. Of course, it has to deliver on what it looks like, but you're counting trees? I've never heard of that before. It's almost as bad as counting blades of grass. And that's the stupid thing, is that people end up attacking games that are undeniably among the greatest games shown. Shouldn't we be attacking games that actually looked like they sucked? Maybe we should be going after all the crappy games that Electronic Arts showed off, aside for a couple, 2-3 gems, instead of attacking actually the games that everybody loved. The problem too is that everybody thinks that it's their right to pick a Game of the Show. First of all, I think that you should have to have at least been at E3. It's E3 Game of the Show. Did you know that the original purpose of Game of the Show at E3 was before social media, was before the internet, when news did not travel so quickly as it does today? The different news outlets covering the video game industry would have a Game of the Show, and then that would signal to retailers, if something won Game of the Show, that they should make sure they get in big orders, and if a game won Game of the Show, it was basically instantly going to be a profitable game because all the different retailers would order big displays and it would signal to them what games to order. But in today's world, there's almost no value to having a Game of the Show award. All it ends up being is a fanboy battle. And then you end up having total fanboys like Colin Moriarty at Kinda Funny Games saying something that's, in my opinion, kind of funny. He suggested that, Horizon is the Game of the Show. Isn't it obvious? Excuse me? I think that when you're clearly a fanboy of a certain system, when you have a history like Colin Moriarty does, he used to be a Nintendo fan, he loved the GameCube, and then he was completely turned off by the Wii, which I don't necessarily blame you for that, but he took personal offense to the Wii. He took personal offense and has made it very, very clear that Nintendo's completely dead to him. Should somebody like that really be respected when they try and pick what the game of the show is. I mean, I think somebody like that needs to make it very clear that they're only really considering Sony games. Okay? You should have a game of the show for Sony, if you're a Sony fanboy, and then maybe a game of the show for gaming at large as well. But don't try and pretend like there's any degree of objectivity in your pick. I mean, I feel like I would do the same thing. I'm not going to do a game of the show because I think it's ridiculous, since I was not at E3 and I wasn't able to feel the vibe of the energy from the different gamers that were at E3 and pick my game of the show. So I'm not going to have a game of the show. But if I did, I think I would want to make it very clear that The Legend of Zelda, in my opinion, is the greatest gaming franchise of all time. And there's a context to my opinions on that game, because basically taking everything I know is great about Zelda, and then I'm applying that to everything new I've seen about this game and picturing what that's going to be like. Okay? So you need to make it clear what your biases are if you're going to be making statements like that or handing out awards. Anyways, let me know in the comments below if you agree with me. Even if you don't agree with me, please do like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe.